On September 10th, 2025, in Los Angeles, a discovery was made that would send shockwaves across the nation. A missing 15-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, was found dead in the trunk of a car. But this wasn't just any car. It was a Tesla belonging to a rising music star, a singer known to millions of young fans under the name D4VD. The moment news broke, headlines exploded. A missing teenager, a celebrity's impounded car, and a body hidden in the trunk. The questions seemed endless. How did she end up there? Why was her body concealed? And what, if anything, did the musician know? Before we dive deep into this unsettling story, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and stay with us until the very end. Because the details of this case are stranger, darker, and more haunting than you could possibly imagine. Celeste Rivas was born in Los Angeles in 2010. From the outside, she was like many other teenagers, curious, energetic, and sometimes restless. But behind closed doors, her life was complicated. Reports would later reveal that she had a history of running away from home. At least once, more than a year before her death, she had been captured on camera fleeing, disappearing for days before eventually returning. For her family, this was a constant worry. When Celeste left the house, would she come back? The last time she was seen alive was in early September 2025. Details remain blurry, but what is clear is that she vanished. No immediate clues, no public outcry at first, just another teenager who didn't return home. Sadly, in a city as large as Los Angeles, police received countless missing person reports involving minors, and many of those children are found within days. But this time would be different. Within a week, investigators made a stunning discovery. Celeste's body was found in the trunk of a Tesla that police had impounded days earlier. The car was registered to David Anthony Burke, better known to fans as D4VD, a popular musician who rose to fame with viral songs that resonated with teenagers across the world. The shock was immediate. A missing child found lifeless in the trunk of a celebrity's vehicle. The public demanded answers. If you're still watching, make sure to subscribe for more chilling vanishings like this one. At first, authorities released only the bare minimum. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner confirmed the girl's identity, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, age 15. The cause of death was not immediately revealed. Detectives confirmed that her body had been hidden in the trunk. The Tesla itself had been towed to an impound lot days earlier for unrelated reasons, and it was there, during routine checks, that the horrifying discovery was made. Very quickly, attention turned to D4VD himself. Who was this young artist? What connection, if any, did he have to the girl? And why was her body inside his car? David Anthony Burke, professionally known as D4VD, was a 19-year-old singer-songwriter from Houston, Texas. He first gained recognition in 2022 when his track Romantic Homicide went viral on TikTok, propelling him into the mainstream. By 2025, he had built a devoted fan base and was working under a major label. He was known for his moody lyrics, introspective style, and close connection with fans online. But now, his name was linked not to music, but to a death investigation. Before we continue, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps bring more strange stories like this one to light. Police quickly began piecing together a timeline. Celeste had vanished in early September. The Tesla had been impounded shortly thereafter. Only when the vehicle was searched did officers make the grisly find. Immediately, search warrants were filed. Investigators seized electronics, computers, and hard drives from a property connected to the singer. The case was rapidly evolving, and the eyes of the nation were fixed on every update. Then, another chilling detail emerged. Both Celeste and D4VD were reported to have had the same tattoo, the word "shoe" etched on the right index finger. To some, this was nothing more than coincidence. To others, it was a symbol of a secret connection between the two. Online forums lit up with theories. Was this proof of a hidden relationship? Was the tattoo a sign of something darker? Or was it simply a fan emulating her idol? Theories multiplied, but facts remained scarce. Police did not immediately confirm whether the two knew each other. The singer himself made no public statement in the first days after the discovery. Still, the eerie tattoo detail was impossible to ignore. In the court of public opinion, it suggested something more than chance. If you're intrigued so far, subscribe now, because the deeper we go, the more disturbing this case becomes. Meanwhile, Celeste's background added further complexity. Reports describe her as a troubled teen who frequently ran away. She had left home before, sometimes for days at a time, and had been known to spend time with people outside her immediate family circle. To investigators, this history raised critical questions. Was her death linked to past disappearances? Did she fall victim to someone she had trusted? Or did her fascination with a rising musician draw her into dangerous territory? The investigation moved fast. Detectives examined the Tesla in detail, searching for forensic evidence that could explain how and when Celeste's body had been placed inside. They combed through D4VD's personal and professional connections, seeking witnesses who might have seen the two together. And they expanded the search into the digital realm, analyzing social media messages, online chats, and encrypted platforms for any sign of communication between the teenager and the artist. But answers were slow to come. Adding to the mystery, D4VD's home was raided by authorities shortly after the discovery. Electronics were seized. Neighbors reported seeing officers carry boxes of items out of the property. Yet despite this, no arrests were made. Police confirmed only that the investigation was active and ongoing. The public, meanwhile, was left in limbo. Was the singer a suspect? Was he a victim of circumstance? Or was there another figure entirely behind the tragedy? The days following the discovery were a blur of speculation and fear. News anchors repeated the same haunting phrase. The body of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas has been found in the trunk of a Tesla belonging to musician D4VD. The public wanted answers, but investigators remained tight-lipped. They confirmed only what they could, that Celeste was dead, that her body was concealed, and that the car belonged to the young singer whose songs millions had streamed. But beyond that, silence. And so, into that silence, the theories poured. If you're watching this and you haven't yet subscribed, take a moment now. These vanishings, these stories, are stranger than fiction, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Celeste's story did not begin with her disappearance in September 2025. For years, there had been signs that her life was complicated, difficult, and unstable. At least once before, more than a year earlier, she had been caught on surveillance cameras, leaving home suddenly, running into the night. She had disappeared for days at a time, causing her family untold worry. Eventually, she would return, only to vanish again months later. These repeated runaways became part of the backdrop of her teenage years. According to those who knew her, Celeste was spirited but restless, often clashing with the structure of home life. She was searching for something: freedom, belonging, perhaps even recognition. Some believed she was drawn to the glamour and mystery of the music world. Others thought she simply wanted to escape the pressures of adolescence. But in September 2025, the cycle ended not with safe return, but with tragedy. Investigators began piecing together Celeste's final days. Witnesses reported seeing her near her neighborhood just before she vanished. There were suggestions she may have been in contact with older acquaintances, possibly even adults connected to the music scene. But as of yet, police have released no verified information about her last movements. What was known was chilling enough. At some point between her disappearance and the discovery of her body, she was placed in the trunk of a Tesla that did not belong to her. That Tesla, police confirmed, belonged to David Anthony Burke, the singer better known as D4VD. If you're still here, make sure you hit the like button. It helps us uncover and share more stories that others try to keep hidden. The impounding of the Tesla was, in itself, an accident of timing. Police had not been searching for Celeste when they towed the vehicle. It had been taken to an impound lot days before her body was found. Only during a routine search did officers make the horrific discovery. That detail raised yet another unsettling question. If the Tesla had not been towed, how long would Celeste's body have remained hidden? Would her disappearance have been written off as just another runaway case, forgotten in the shadows of Los Angeles? The investigation intensified. Authorities sought digital records, tracing calls, texts, and social media activity. They executed search warrants at a property tied to D4VD, seizing electronics and data drives. Yet, despite the scale of the operation, no immediate arrests were made. Detectives urged the public to remain patient, reminding everyone that investigations of this magnitude take time. But outside the walls of police stations and courtrooms, patience was in short supply. The discovery of a teenager's body in a celebrity's car is the kind of story that ignites headlines worldwide. Within hours, social media platforms exploded with speculation. Hashtags bearing Celeste's name trended on X, TikTok, and Instagram. Fans of the singer clashed with critics. Some defended him, insisting he could not possibly have been involved. Others condemned him, demanding justice for Celeste and answers from the star. And then came the detail that turned speculation into obsession: the tattoos. Both Celeste and D4VD bore the same word tattooed on their right index fingers. Sure, what did it mean? To some, it was a symbol of fans' devotion, a teenage girl mimicking the style of her idol. To others, it was proof of a secret connection between the two, a sign of intimacy or a shared secret. Theories spread rapidly online. Some argued that Celeste sought out the tattoo as part of her fascination with the singer. Others suggested that they had met, and the tattoos were evidence of a deeper, undisclosed relationship. Still others saw it as coincidence, nothing more than a teenager imitating a celebrity. Police, however, did not confirm or deny whether the tattoo was significant. To them, it was one more piece of evidence in an investigation already filled with disturbing clues. Before we go further, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you'll be the first to hear about the latest twists in this and other chilling vanishings. Celeste's family, meanwhile, was thrown into unimaginable grief. A missing child case had transformed overnight into a homicide investigation. Their 15-year-old daughter was gone, her body hidden in a trunk. Her name now linked forever to a story that dominated national headlines. For many, the most painful part was the unanswered questions. How had she died? Who had placed her in the trunk? Was she alive when she was put there? The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's office confirmed her identity, but did not release an official cause of death immediately. Toxicology reports, autopsy findings, and forensic analyses take time. In the vacuum of information, rumors grew. Had she been suffocated, poisoned, strangled, or had she died some other way before being hidden? Meanwhile, the spotlight on D4VD grew hotter. His career, once defined by viral songs and sold-out shows, was suddenly overshadowed by the grim discovery tied to his car. Journalists dug into his past, searching for any sign of scandal. Old interviews were scrutinized, his lyrics re-examined. Everything he had said, posted, or sung was now filtered through the lens of a criminal investigation. The singer himself remained silent. For days, no statement came from him or his representatives. His social media accounts went quiet. Every hour that passed without comment fueled further speculation. Was his silence a legal strategy, a sign of guilt, or simply the response of a young man overwhelmed by the magnitude of the situation? If you're still with us, take a second now to like this video. It keeps stories like Celeste from fading into silence. As weeks went on, investigators expanded their focus. They did not stop with the Tesla or with the tattoo. They traced Celeste's movements in the weeks before her disappearance, pulling surveillance footage from neighborhoods, reviewing tips from the public, and digging into her online life. What they found painted a picture of a teenager navigating risky waters. Like many teens, Celeste had access to social media, where she could connect with people far outside her immediate circle. Whether she met someone dangerous online is a question investigators continue to explore. Search warrants suggested that police were deeply interested in potential digital communication. Computers, phones, and hard drives were seized from properties linked to the musician. Authorities hoped that inside those devices, they would find the answers, messages, photos, or records that could explain how Celeste ended up where she did. But if they found anything they have not said, for the public, the lack of answers only deepened the mystery. Was D4VD directly involved, or was he an unwitting figure caught in the crossfire of someone else's crime? Did Celeste know him personally, or had she simply been emulating a star she admired? And above all, how did her body end up in his trunk? Each day that passed without clarity brought more theories. Some believed she had been lured. Others suspected trafficking. Still others suggested negligence, that she had perhaps climbed into the trunk herself for reasons unknown. But speculation is not truth, and in this case, truth was hard to find. By late September 2025, media outlets around the world were reporting on every scrap of information. The case was no longer just a local tragedy. It had become an international headline. From Los Angeles to London, from New York to Sydney, the story was the same. A teenager's life cut short, her body discovered in the car of a star. Even those who had never heard of D4VD before now knew his name. His songs, once played for their emotional resonance, were now dissected for hidden meaning. Every lyric seemed to take on new weight. Every silence, new significance. And yet, despite all the coverage, the central mystery remained unsolved. Who was responsible for Celeste's death? Before we continue, make sure you subscribed, because the next chapter of this case will leave you with even more questions and answers. The discovery of Celeste's body did more than ignite headlines. It forced the public to confront a chilling reality. A vulnerable teenager, missing for days, had not been found through an urgent rescue effort, but by chance. Her remains discovered in a car trunk only because the vehicle was impounded. That single fact created unease. How many other cases had slipped through the cracks? How many other missing children have been written off as runaways, their stories left unfinished? If you want us to keep digging into cases like this, don't forget to hit subscribe. These are the stories that too often go silent, and your support helps keep them alive. In Los Angeles, the news spread like wildfire. At schools, parents clutched their children more tightly. In neighborhoods, conversations whispered with fear. If it could happen to Celeste, it could happen to anyone. Her classmates describe her as bright but restless, a girl with a free spirit who sometimes seemed to be searching for something beyond the ordinary. Some remembered her laughter in class, others her tendency to disappear for days at a time. Teachers had worried, friends had speculated, but no one could have imagined this end. For her family, the pain was beyond words. They had worried every time she left home, but always believed she would return. This time, she hadn't, and instead of a reunion, they were left with a devastating silence. By now, the tattoo detail had taken center stage in public discussion. On her right index finger, Celeste had the word "shoe" etched permanently into her skin. So did D4VD. The idea of a teenage girl sharing a tattoo with a 19-year-old celebrity stirred both outrage and suspicion. How had she gotten it? Why that word? Was it just a fan copying her idol, or evidence of a secret bond? Online communities dissected the clue. Some argued the tattoo symbolized secrecy, silence, a pact never to speak of something hidden. Others believed it was nothing more than a design chosen by thousands of young people, its meaning exaggerated by tragedy. But the fact that both bore the same word on the same finger was impossible to ignore. Before we continue, take a moment to like this video. It helps us bring forward more stories the mainstream often leaves behind. Detectives, aware of the growing storm of speculation, refuse to release premature conclusions. They emphasize that the investigation was ongoing, that forensic work takes time, and that the public should avoid jumping to conclusions. Yet the visible actions of law enforcement told their own story. Search warrants were executed. Electronics were seized. A property tied to the singer was thoroughly searched, with investigators carrying boxes of evidence into waiting vans. The presence of federal agents, including reports of cooperation with cybercrime units, suggested authorities were not leaving any angle unexplored. But weeks later, no charges had been filed. No arrests had been made. And so, the questions only grew louder. Meanwhile, the young musician at the center of it all remained silent. David Anthony Burke, known to millions as D4VD, had been on a steep ascent in the music industry. His songs had gone viral, his concerts sold out, his fan base fiercely loyal. But now, his name was linked to one of the most disturbing stories of the year. His silence became a story in itself. Why hadn't he spoken? Why hadn't he issued even a statement of condolence for Celeste's family? Some defended him, arguing that lawyers had advised him to remain silent during an active investigation. Others condemned him, seeing silence as guilt. The truth, as always, was far more complex. As days turned to weeks, media coverage of the case became relentless. Tabloids ran dramatic headlines. Talk shows debated theories. Podcasts launched special episodes devoted to Celeste's story. Every detail was scrutinized. Every photograph of the singer was examined for hidden meaning. Every lyric he had written was replayed, reinterpreted through the lens of tragedy. In the digital age, facts and rumors blended into a single chaotic narrative. What was proven and what was speculation often blurred, leaving the public struggling to separate truth from theory. If you're still watching, subscribe right now. We'll keep following the facts in this case, not the rumors, and there's much more still to uncover. To understand what happened, investigators had to dig deep into Celeste's past. She was not a stranger to vanishing. On at least one occasion a year before her death, she had been caught on video running away from home. She had spent time away before returning days later. Each time, her family's relief was immense, but the fear never truly left them. Her tendency to disappear meant that, at first, her September 2025 absence did not raise immediate alarms in the wider community. Police, overwhelmed with reports of missing minors, sometimes categorized such cases as habitual runaways. But this time, the ending was tragically different. Some believe this history may have made Celeste more vulnerable, more willing to trust strangers, more likely to place herself in dangerous situations, more exposed to those who might take advantage of her youth and restlessness. One of the most important aspects of the investigation was Celeste's online life. Like many teenagers, she spent hours on social media, engaging with peers and strangers alike. Investigators suspected that her disappearance might have involved someone she met online. Encrypted messaging platforms, private accounts, and disappearing texts made the work harder, but detectives pressed on. Search warrants revealed their intent to scour communications for links between her and D4VD, or anyone else who might have lured her away. What, if anything, they found has not been publicly disclosed. The impound lot itself became a chilling detail of the story. Police had not been searching for Celeste when they towed the Tesla. The vehicle was seized for unrelated reasons, and only during a routine check did officers discover the horrifying truth inside the trunk. The randomness of that discovery stunned the public. Without the car being impounded, how much longer would Celeste's body have remained hidden? Would she become just another name on a missing persons list? Her fate unknown forever? The unsettling thought lingers. Sometimes, justice is not the result of careful planning, but a chance. While police worked quietly, the public built theories loudly. Some believed Celeste had been groomed, drawn into a secret relationship that ended in tragedy. Others suspected trafficking, pointing to her history of running away and the dangers that lurk in online spaces. Still others clung to stranger explanations, rituals, conspiracies, hidden messages in tattoos and lyrics. The truth, however, remained hidden behind sealed evidence and guarded investigators. And that truth is what the world continues to wait for. Before we move forward, don't forget to like this video. Your support ensures that stories like Celeste don't vanish into silence. For Celeste's family, the days after her death were filled with grief and confusion. Their daughter's face, once known only to them and her friends, now appeared on television screens across the world. Her name, once private, was now tied forever to a mystery too dark to comprehend. For the singer, his career paused in the shadow of tragedy. Concerts were canceled, promotional appearances scrapped. His once bright future dimmed under the weight of suspicion. And for the public, one question refused to fade. Who put Celeste in that trunk? If you're still watching, subscribe now, because as the investigation deepens, the revelations only grow more disturbing. The days following Celeste's discovery turned into weeks, but answers were scarce. Authorities were tight-lipped, and the public was left in a storm of questions with no resolution. Investigators executed multiple search warrants, their focus clear. They were looking for any connection between Celeste and David Anthony Burke, the rising star known as D4VD. Electronics were seized. Residences were combed. Witnesses were quietly interviewed. Yet despite the flurry of activity, no charges were filed, and no official suspect was named. For the family of Celeste, that silence was unbearable. Their teenage daughter had been found lifeless in the trunk of a car, and all they were headlines, theories, and an endless wait for justice. Don't forget to subscribe if you want us to keep bringing you the untold side of cases like this. Stories that too often end in silence deserve to be told. Celeste's relatives began to speak out publicly. Their grief was raw, their words trembling with the weight of loss. They remembered Celeste as a dreamer, a child full of laughter and rebellion, someone who wanted to live life without limits, but who was still just 16. Her mother's voice cracked when she described a moment she learned her daughter was gone. She had clung to hope until the very end, believing Celeste would walk back to the door, even if weeks had passed. Instead, she was left with a devastating confirmation. Her father, quieter, spoke only of wanting answers, not rumors, not speculation, just truth. The family pleaded with the public to avoid spreading unverified claims online. But by then, the story had taken on a life of its own. Within hours of the news breaking, hashtags exploded across platforms. The case wasn't just local news anymore. It was national, even global. Hashtag Justice for Celeste began trending, fueled by fans, advocates, and countless strangers drawn to the mystery. But alongside the sympathy came venom. Some targeted the singer, declaring him guilty before any official word. Others blamed the family, suggesting they had failed to protect her. And then there were those who twisted the case into a spectacle, treating tragedy like entertainment. It was a dark side of the digital age, a grieving family forced to watch their daughter's memory debated like a scandal, while investigators worked silently behind closed doors. Take a second to like this video. It helps us cut through the noise and focus only on the facts. While speculation burned hotter by the day, one absence stood out the most. David Anthony Burke, D4VD, said nothing. No statement. No interview. No post. Not even a line of condolence for Celeste's family. His social media went dark, his public appearances vanished, and his music promotions halted without explanation. To many, that silence was deafening. Some argued it was a sign of guilt. Others, more cautious, pointed out that lawyers often advise clients not to speak during an active investigation. But in the court of public opinion, silence can be as damning as a confession. Court records revealed that investigators had obtained warrants targeting the singer's property. Inside his Houston residence, federal agents and local police searched for electronic evidence, phones, hard drives, and digital communications. Neighbors watched as boxes of items were carried out. Photographs surfaced showing investigators loading sealed containers into black SUVs. Though officials refused to disclose what they had seized, the message was clear. This was not a routine check. Yet despite the intensity of the search, weeks passed with no announcement of charges. Each day that went by without resolution left the public more restless. For detectives, cases like this are marathons, not sprints. But for the community, patience was running thin. Media outlets pushed for updates, but press conferences yielded little. Families of other missing teenagers began pointing to Celeste's case as proof that the system was broken. Only when celebrity names were involved did authorities seem to move with urgency. And for Celeste's peers, the nightmare was all too real. At her school, her desk sat empty. Her absence haunted classrooms and hallways. Students left notes, drawings, and flowers in her memory. Teachers struggled to explain the unexplainable. The shared tattoo remained one of the most haunting details. Both Celeste and D4VD had the word "sure" etched onto their right index fingers. Some said it was a coincidence, a popular design chosen by many, but others saw it as a chilling connection, one too precise to ignore. What did it mean? Silence? A secret? A bond between the two? Investigators never confirmed whether the tattoos linked them directly, but for the public, the symbolism was impossible to shake. If you're still watching, subscribe now, because details like this can't just vanish from memory. They demand to be remembered. Celeste's death struck a chord far beyond Los Angeles. It sparked a larger conversation about teenage vulnerability, celebrity influence, and the unseen dangers of digital connections. How did a 16-year-old end up in such a tragic situation? Who failed her along the way? And why, in a city with so many resources, did it take so long for anyone to find her? For some, The story became a rallying cry. Protect the youth, watch their online presence, question the systems that too often dismiss missing teenagers as just runaways. For others, it remained an unsolved mystery, its answers locked away in evidence rooms and sealed reports. The music industry, too, felt the shockwaves. Labels quietly distanced themselves from the controversy. Promoters pulled back. Some radio stations even stopped playing D4VD's tracks while the investigation loomed. For fans, the conflict was raw. Many had found solace in his music, which often spoke to themes of isolation, longing, and heartbreak. Now, those same lyrics were scrutinized for hidden meanings. The lines between art and reality blurred in uncomfortable ways. Could a song simply be a song anymore when its creator was linked to a tragedy like this? Months after Celeste's body was discovered, the case still hung unresolved. No indictments, no official conclusions, just silence. Her family continued to wait. Her classmates continued to grieve, and the public, restless and suspicious, continued to speculate. It was as though Celeste's voice had been taken, her story frozen in limbo, and in that silence, the memory of her tattoo, Shu, took on a meaning darker than anyone could have imagined. If you believe stories like Celeste deserve to be told until the truth is uncovered, don't forget to subscribe. We'll continue following this case, bringing you only the verified facts, never letting the mystery fade into silence. The mystery of Celeste Rivas' death did not end with her discovery. In many ways, that was only the beginning. For every fact confirmed, new questions rose in its place. For every clue investigators pursued, speculation multiplied. And as the months dragged on without resolution, the silence surrounding the case became as chilling as the discovery itself. The unanswered questions hung heavy in the air. How exactly did Celeste end up in the trunk of a Tesla registered to a rising music star? Did she enter the car willingly or was she forced? What happened in the hours before her disappearance? And perhaps most haunting of all, who was responsible for concealing her body? Authorities offered little, their statements guarded. The investigation is ongoing. We cannot comment at this time. Those phrases became refrains, repeated over and over at press conferences, frustrating reporters and enraging the public. Don't forget to hit the like button if you want us to keep exposing vanishings and mysteries like this one. Every click helps keep these stories alive. Celeste's parents grew weary of waiting. They began pressing officials more forcefully, demanding transparency. Her mother described sleepless nights, replaying every moment, every conversation, every missed sign. Her father, though quieter, spoke with measured determination. Their daughter's story, they said, would not vanish like so many others. They attended vigils, standing before candles and photographs as crowds whispered prayers. They sat for interviews, repeating the same painful truth. Their daughter was gone and they had no answers. Each time, their voices trembled with grief, but also carried a message. They would not stop asking questions until someone gave them the truth. The Rivas family persistence drew sympathy and support. Advocacy groups for missing children rallied around them, using the case to highlight the broader struggles families face when a child disappears. Celeste's face appeared on posters, shirts, and murals, her memory becoming a symbol for all the children whose vanishings go unsolved. Celeste's story wasn't just about one teenager. It became a reflection of national anxieties. Every year in the United States, hundreds of thousands of children are reported missing. Most are found quickly, often within hours, but others vanish into shadows of ambiguity, lost in bureaucratic delays, written off as runaways, or never fully investigated. Celeste's case reignited those fears. Her disappearance hadn't been treated with urgency at first, perhaps because of her history of running away. It was only when her body was found in the trunk of a celebrity's car that the case became front-page news. To many, that reality was as disturbing as the crime itself. How many Celestes, people asked, were being overlooked because their stories weren't tied to fame? If you're still watching, make sure to subscribe for more stories that shine a light on vanishings that too often slip into silence. The involvement of a celebrity made everything more complicated. D4VD, born David Anthony Burke, was still just 19 when his name was linked to Celeste's death. In another world, he would have been known only for his music. Songs that captured teenage heartbreak, streamed millions of times by fans around the world. But now his career stood in the shadow of suspicion. Music blogs stopped writing about his upcoming projects. His record label offered no comment. His social media fell silent, and his fans were left torn between loyalty and unease. Some argued fiercely for his innocence, insisting that the truth would clear him. Others demanded accountability, convinced that where there was smoke, there must be fire. The weight of celebrity turned the investigation into a spectacle. Every move the singer made or didn't make was dissected, debated, and broadcast. His silence became a story of its own. With so few official updates, theories flourished in the vacuum. Some were grounded in facts. The shared tattoo, the timeline of her disappearance, the location of her body. Others drifted into speculation, linking the case to conspiracies or suggesting scenarios without evidence. Did Celeste know the singer personally? Was she a fan who somehow crossed into his private world? Or was her body placed in the Tesla without his knowledge, making him an unintentional link in a much darker chain of events? Each possibility was chilling in its own right, but without answers, no theory could be ruled out or confirmed. Before we continue, don't forget to like this video. It helps us keep digging into mysteries that deserve to be remembered, not forgotten. Investigators turned their attention to the digital realm. In the 21st century, every story leaves a trace online. Messages, searches, posts, photos, and apps that hold fragments of truth. Celeste had been active on social media, like many teenagers. Friends reported that she often connected with strangers online, sometimes through anonymous platforms. Detectives examined her accounts, searching for communication with the singer or anyone connected to him. Meanwhile, D4VD's devices, seized during the search of his home, were being combed for links. The question wasn't just whether the two knew each other, but how deeply and for how long. Still, no findings were released publicly. Each day, without clarity, only deepened the mystery. As months passed, frustration turned to anger. Vigils gave way to protests, where supporters of Celeste's family gathered with signs demanding justice. Online petitions spread, urging investigators to release more information. The secrecy, officials said, was necessary to preserve the integrity of the case. But to a grieving public, it felt like stonewalling. For Celeste's family, the lack of answers was unbearable. Her mother said it felt as though her daughter had vanished twice. Once when she disappeared, and again when the truth was buried in silence. Beyond the headlines, Celeste's story became a lesson in vulnerability. Teenagers today live in two worlds, the physical and the digital. Online, they connect with strangers, share pieces of themselves, and sometimes blur the line between admiration and obsession. In Celeste's case, her fascination with a rising musician may have played a role. Whether that connection was real or imagined, it reflected the way young people can be drawn into dangerous spaces. Experts in child safety warned that her case was not isolated. It was part of a broader pattern in which vulnerable teens, especially those who run away or feel unseen, become targets for exploitation. Celeste's story, they said, should serve as a wake-up call. By early 2026, the case still had no resolution. The Tesla remained a symbol of unanswered questions. The tattoo remained a haunting clue, and the silence from both investigators and the singer continued to loom. For many, the absence of closure was its own kind of tragedy. Celeste deserved more than mystery. She deserved truth. But the truth remained locked away, perhaps known only to those closest to the investigation. If you made it this far, subscribe now. Stories like Celeste are not just about the past. They're about the present, and about the children whose futures we must fight to protect. The death of Celeste Rivas will likely be remembered not just for its details, but for what it revealed about society. It showed how quickly tragedy can become spectacle, how a family's grief can be amplified by the glare of fame, how the silence of authorities can feed suspicion, and how, in the absence of answers, a community will create its own. It also revealed something deeper. The fragility of youth in a world where danger can hide in plain sight, even in the glittering world of celebrity. Celeste's story may not yet have an ending, but it already has a legacy, a reminder that every disappearance, every vanishing, deserves to be taken seriously, because behind every missing person is a family waiting, a community grieving, and a truth that demands to be found. If you're still here, don't forget to like this video and share it. The more voices we raise, the harder it becomes for stories like Celeste to be forgotten. The months dragged into nearly a year, yet Celeste Rivas' case remained without resolution. For her family, the silence was unbearable. For the public, it was infuriating. And for those who had followed the story from the beginning, it was chilling. A 15-year-old girl had vanished. She had been found lifeless in the trunk of a Tesla linked to a rising music star. Investigators had executed warrants, seized evidence, and promised answers. But what came after was not clarity. It was silence, and that silence was louder than any headline. Before we continue, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. It helps ensure stories like Celeste aren't buried beneath the weight of time. Law enforcement officials insisted the case was active. Detectives were still analyzing digital evidence, still interviewing potential witnesses, still piecing together the movements of both Celeste and David Anthony Burke in the days leading up to her death. But each press briefing ended the same way. No further comment. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner had confirmed Celeste's identity, but beyond that, the cause of death and precise timeline were withheld. Without those details, speculation filled the void. Some argued that investigators were building a careful case, waiting for irrefutable proof before making charges. Others believed the opposite, that the case had gone cold, with no clear path forward. And then there were those who whispered that the involvement of celebrity power and influence had slowed everything down. Through it all, David Anthony Burke remained silent. No posts, no interviews, no statements to the family, no music releases. The young man who had once seemed inseparable from his fans, sharing glimpses of his inner world through songs and social media, had disappeared from public life entirely. His silence became its own kind of story. For some, it was proof of guilt. For others, it was the behavior of someone wrongfully accused, sheltering himself from a storm he could not control. Either way, his career had frozen in time. Once a rising star, now a figure bound to a tragedy that overshadowed everything he had built. If you're still watching, make sure to subscribe, because we will follow this case until the very end, no matter how long it takes. Celeste's family endured what no parent should ever face, losing a child in a way that defied explanation. Their grief was magnified by uncertainty. Her mother spoke of memories that replayed endlessly. Celeste laughed in the kitchen, her rebellious streak, the way she always returned home even after running away. But this time, she said softly, she didn't come back. Her father remained steady, demanding justice. We're not asking for speculation. We're asking for facts. He said in one interview, we want to know what happened to our daughter. That's all. Their words resonated with parents across the nation who saw in Celeste their own children, their vulnerability, their trust, their innocence. Celeste's case was not just a tragedy. It became a mirror. It reflected the cracks in how missing children's cases are handled. It showed the dangers teenagers face in a world where online connections blur boundaries. It highlighted how fame can warp justice, either accelerating it or stalling it altogether. Advocacy groups pointed to her story as proof that the term runaway should never diminish urgency. Every missing child, they argued, deserves immediate attention, because every delay could mean the difference between life and death. And then there was the tattoo. That single word, "show," inked onto the right index fingers of both Celeste and the singer. To some, it was coincidence. To others, it was evidence of a bond, a secret, a chilling symbol of silence. Its meaning was never explained. Investigators did not reveal whether it linked them directly, yet the image lingered in the public mind, raising questions no one could answer. Was it an innocent gesture, or was it the key to understanding the connection between a 15-year-old girl and a 19-year-old star? The case left a trail of questions, each more unsettling than the last. How did Celeste's body end up in the Tesla? Did she know the singer personally? Was she placed there after her death? And if so, by whom? Was the Tesla chosen deliberately, or was it a tragic accident of circumstance? And above all, why has no one been held accountable? Every unanswered question deepened the mystery. turning Celeste's story into a haunting riddle. If you're still with us, subscribe now, because vanishings like this remind us that silence is sometimes the most chilling part of all. Though her story remains unresolved, Celeste Rivas left behind a legacy. She became a symbol, not just a tragedy, but of resilience. Her family continues to fight. Her name continues to trend at vigils and protests. And her memory continues to fuel conversations about justice, vulnerability, and the systems that too often fail the young. In the end, Celeste's story is not only about her vanishing. It is about a society grappling with the fragility of innocence, the danger of silence, and the haunting truth that sometimes justice never comes quickly, if at all. The last known words etched into her skin were "shu." It was a symbol of secrecy, a command for silence, a word that now feels like a prophecy. Because in the months after her death, silence is exactly what has defined her story. Silence from investigators, silence from those who may know the truth, and silence that leaves her family and the world waiting. Her case is not over. Her story is not finished. But as long as there are questions, as long as there is silence, the memory of Celeste Rivas will not fade. Because sometimes the most haunting vanishings are not just about those who disappear. They're about the truth that never comes to light. If you found Celeste's story as unsettling as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. The more voices we raise, the harder it becomes for vanishings like this one to be forgotten. Stay with us, because every silence demands an answer,